Hey, everybody, and welcome to a little Sunday talk here. And I want to talk about an email I got actually yesterday. Um, and I get emails like this almost on a not a daily basis, but every other day basis. But this particular one really stuck out for a number of reasons that I'm going to talk about right now. And I thought I'd go over it. So I've just blacked out this gentleman's name. His name is Scott. I'm sure there's millions of Scots in the world. Nobody can find out who he is. So my name is Scott, and I have been passionately trading markets from options to penny stocks and now into futures. I know that my passion for financial markets are what drives me to keep going since I started back in the late 90s. So let's just assume this guy's been trading for 20 years. Okay, 20 years. Very important. I had early success in the options market during the dot-com days when I grew $2,000 account to $25,000 and then blew it up at least 5 times now. Now, I don't know if he means that he did it 5 times during the dot-com bubble, or if he has had great success and grown 2,000 to 25,000 at least 5 times. I'm going to assume that it wasn't all during the options market. It means that he's been able to take a $2,000 account, $25,000, and make 1,000% return. Let me repeat that. This guy has the ability to make 1,000% return. And he's done it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 5 times now. Think about that. He knows how to trade. He knows how to make money. Okay. I then got into futures and blew up a $10,000 account. I then got back into options and started trading credit spreads and grew that account to 25,000 and then blew that up. So again, this guy has skill. Okay. He obviously has the ability to make money. I am now focusing on futures, mainly ESNQ, YM, GC, ECL. I started back in late February 2017, and again, this guy took a $5,000 account to $25,000, and he now has 2,000 of that left. I know that I want to continue trading, honing my skills. Like I said earlier, I have a burning passion to make it as an independent professional trader. I know that I am close. I came upon your YouTube channel and wanted to reach out to you. What kind of service do you offer? Can you show me the process in order to be a successful trader? Kindest regards, Scott. Okay, so I told Scott here I was going to, rather than answering, I would make a video on this because I think this is really, I think in this case it really exemplifies where traders come to me. Because the cost of my education is so high, I'm usually the last place that people stop. Everybody is out there looking at all this free education and all this easy stuff on the internet, but I learned a very long time ago in life that you get what you pay for. And there's a reason why Mercedes is more expensive than a Ford for the most part, or a Bentley is more expensive than a Honda for the most part. And that is because the quality of education. Now, everybody is out there trying to teach people how to make money. And it's clear that many of you know how to make money. You've done it before in the past, right? Maybe not as successfully and as many times as Scott here, right? Many of you have the ability to make money, all right? But why am I different? And this is really an interesting question. And when I think about it, I have to ask that question too. Why am I here 37 years later and other people are not? Right? Why am I here 37 years later and other people are not? Well, the real answer to that is because I've learned some fundamental truths about the market. I've learned that the market, for the most part, is chaotic 90% of the time. Okay? I've learned that 90% of the time, the market is completely chaotic. So it's no surprise to me that people blow accounts. And I have blown accounts. Many. Right? But I've gotten past that in certain ways. So if the market is chaotic 90% of the time, there are going to be at least times if you don't blow account, you're going to lose a lot of money, right? And I won't go into this too much, but don't confuse a bull market with brains. Just because the current conditions is favorable to you doesn't mean that chaos won't ensue. As a matter of fact, you got to count on it. Now, one of the very first books that I read when I was becoming a trader, oh, by the way, I would like you all at the end of this video to go watch this video, Trading is Not a Consistent Source of Income, not a consistent income source, on my YouTube channel. Trading is not a consistent income source on my YouTube channel. But I'm going to talk about it right now. But this video, I just want you guys to show you that I talked about this many times in the past because it's so important. Now, one of the first books that I read when I was learning to, not really learning to trade, but off the floor trader, was Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. And this book basically told me that the guy that was considered to be one of the best traders in history was blowing up all the time. And I remember being like, I don't know, 25, 26 years old, and saying to myself, what the hell? Well, I didn't say that, but, you know, we didn't have that back there, WTH, WTF. And I remember thinking to myself, why am I getting into this business? This is ridiculously stupid. Yeah, this guy in this, who's considered to be one of the greatest traders of all time, is making millions of dollars and living this extravagant lifestyle, but he's losing it all. And in the end, he died broke. True story about Jesse Livermore. Okay? And this is what I have to look forward to? I remember thinking that to myself, right? But as I thought about it more and more and more, I thought, well, what if I did what Jesse Livermore did, and I was able to make a lot of money, okay, but I was able to, instead of losing it all like he did, what if I could remove that part? What if there was a smarter way of removing that part of the market? And I thought, well, you know, this guy's the greatest trader of all time, and he's not able to do it. But fortunately, around 1990s or whatever, there were still good traders out there that were making good amounts of money, and they were controlling that loss. So in other words, they would make money, then they would have periods where they would the market would not work because chaos would ensue. But instead of losing everything, they would just look like that. Or even like that. Right? Or in some cases even like that. But then when the market conditions changed, they were able to do that. And I was like, wow, okay. There were now, who are those guys? There were guys like, he was just beginning to get big back then, Tudor Investment Corporation, or Paul Tudor Jones, who is one of my personal, I have such a man crush on this guy, Paul Tudor Jones, who, you know, was having ups and downs, but he seemed to be able to control his downs. Yes, he was having down periods, but he seemed to be able to control his downs. Now, what's really interesting is Paul, who, again, if someone were to say to me, name the one person in the world that I admire and respect the most, it's Paul. I absolutely have the biggest man crush on Paul. I had the opportunity to meet Paul way back, way long ago. I'm sure he wouldn't remember it. It was only for a few little while. And then I had an opportunity to work with somebody that worked for him later on. So I'm very familiar with Paul's style, which does have a little bit of variance in it. And so the point being that Paul right now is having to fire trader or staff because he's going through a hard time. Again, a great trader, in my opinion, Paul is the best trader that is alive on the planet today. A great trader goes through hard times and has periods where things do not work because chaos is too problematic, or for whatever reason. Another great trader, okay? Another great trader, tremendous respect for Bill Ackman, okay? Now Bill is going through another genius. He's going through a hard time right now, okay? And the list goes on and on. Even guys like Warren Buffett, okay, that everybody thinks is a genius right now because basically he buys and holds forever. But there were many times in the past when I can remember that Warren Buffett was being criticized because he wasn't adapting to market conditions. So, early in my career, when I realized and I recognized that markets were random most of the time, I said, okay, well, I don't want to blow accounts, but I need to come up with a process or a method that is able to minimize this as much as possible. So that was way back when in the day, and that's what I was thinking. I understood that it was normal. Let me repeat this, okay? It is normal to lose, in some cases, even a lot of money, right? Okay? It is normal to lose a lot of money in trading. As a matter of fact, you can count on it. It's going to happen. If it's happening to the best and the smartest and the most brilliant, what makes you think you're going to be any different? It's normal to lose a lot of money in trading, okay? If you're a directionally biased trader. However, there is an answer, okay? There is an answer. Now, what is that answer? All right. Well, first of all, I want to tell you what a normal good trader looks like, okay, over a large enough sample. And I'm going to turn to the poker world to show you that. And the reason I'm going to turn to the poker world, you'll understand in a second, okay? So just bear with me here for a second. I'm going to go to the 2+2 forums. And I'm going to show you, the reason I'm going to show you a poker P&L is for a very good reason. This is actually my coach right here. And I've hired this guy to help me with my poker. And the reason I'm showing you this is because of sample size, okay? So most traders might, you can see this is about 16,000 hands. And I'd like you to think of this in terms of trades, okay? So most traders in a lifetime might make 16,000 trades. Now, this is what a good trader's P&L should look like. And you can see it if you go watch my video that I mentioned earlier. This is what should happen, okay? Now remember, imagine taking 2,000 trades and you make a lot of money. Imagine that you got involved in the markets way back in let's say 95 through 2000, and you think you're a rock star trader. you're making a bunch of money because it's a dot-com bubble, very similar to where Scott has been. Okay? Now, that was let's just say that was 3 years. The first 3 years, you make a lot of money. Now imagine that the market conditions change. And for the next 2,500 trades, you don't make a dime. That could be 1 week. That could be 1 month. That could be a year. Okay? And not only that, but if you could have this big drawdown during that time period. Okay? Now, again, the conditions change, markets become more favorable for you, and boom, you go higher. But again, for a very long period of time, you're not making money and you're losing a lot of money. Remember, 8,000 trades. Like most people might trade, as some aggressive people, a trade a day. So that would be 8,000 days. Think about that, right? Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because in poker, sample size is everything. And this is, by the way, this is just a green line is how much money, this is my coach, how much money he's made over 16,000 hands. He's won 7,000 big blinds over 16,000 hands. Big sample size, okay? Well, this is what great traders do too, okay, guys? Great traders cannot avoid drawdown. Okay, see these periods? They might look like they're very brutal. In 2013, I went through a big, huge drawdown like this. Everybody thought Steve's a terrible trader. In 2013, I had students that were like, "Oh my God, Steve, I thought you were such a great trader, but in reality, you suck." And I said, "No, I don't. I don't suck at all. I'm just going through what's normal in this business." Okay? And, recently I went through another drawdown in my Forex account, and people were questioning me. My students were like, "Steve, oh my gosh, I thought you were a really good trader. I don't understand. Why are you losing money?" Because my edges or my methodology was not working because the market environment had changed to a more chaotic environment. Okay? It's normal to lose a lot of money in trading. Count on it. The answer is, for Scott in particular, the answer is to just stop blowing up. Think about that, right? Instead of blowing up, if Scott just lost, let's say, 25 or 30% of that account, what would have happened if he made 5,000% returns, right? So let's just say, well, there's actually two answers. There's several answers. We'll talk about them right now. So if Scott would have just done this, okay? So here's Scott. He turns 2,000 into 25,000. Now, instead of blowing up, if he could recognize, even at this point in time, that something was wrong, and he just stopped, or traded smaller size until the market environment was better, you can see he would look a lot like that poker player's long-term 16,000 hand thing, wouldn't it? Would look a lot like that. So, why am I different? Okay? Yes, I have blown accounts in the past. And yes, I go through periods where I have big drawdowns or substantial drawdowns, but I do a few things. The first thing I do that I teach people, which really I think separates me from everybody else, is everybody's out there trying to teach you how to make money. Am I right? Every website you go to, what do they tell you they're going to do? They tell you, follow me, follow my pattern, follow my blah, blah, blue, my blah, blah, blah. You're going to make money. Okay. I do not do that. Okay. The main thing I teach my students is I teach my students how to not lose money. How to not lose money. That is my number one thing that I teach students. And my students will tell you, they can chime in, reach out to anyone. They'll tell you, that is the primary thing that I teach people, how not to lose money. And how do I do that? I do that by having a method that quantifies the differences between great directional edges, good directional edges, moderate directional edges, and very poor directional edges. Okay, that's the first thing I do. Okay, the next thing I do is I teach my students, where are you wrong? Which really is saying, where and when is the market chaotic? And you have no directional edges, which is 90% of the time. Right? 90% of the time, my students aren't trading. Now, does that mean they're not trading all day long? No, but they're looking for markets where they have good directional edges. Okay? So if you don't have a method that that quantifies the differences between great, good, moderate, and poor, number one, that's where you're going to have a big problem. And if you don't have a method that says where you are wrong, and you recognize that the market is completely chaotic and you should not be involved at all, you're destined. You are destined to blow accounts. Okay? So that's a number one thing that I do. The next thing that I do, which I believe separates me from everybody else, is I teach my students the most powerful money management techniques in the world. The most powerful money management techniques. As a matter of fact, I have a money back guarantee on my courses. If you follow the money management technique that I give you, 100% you will never in your lifetime blow an account ever again. Never again. You will never do that again. And I can guarantee that with 100% money back guarantee if you follow, and I will check your blotter. Okay, you got to show me your blotter, and I will give you your money back on everything that I've taught you. You will never blow an account ever again. So money management is really super important. The next thing that I focus on is, a lot of people like to think of it as psychology. Okay, psychology. Okay, hopefully I spelled that right. Forgive me, guys. I'm dyslexic and have a bit of a learning disability and spelling disability, so if I misspell or do things, just forgive me. I don't believe in psychology. Okay, XXX. It's bullshit. Okay, I believe in brain management. Okay, listen. No psychology out there in the world probably spelled that wrong, forgive me again. No psychology in the world is going to prepare you for when you have a when you've taken a $2,000 account to $25,000 and then you lose $5,000 of that. Okay? you're going to tilt. You're going to have a lot of problems. You're going to have a lot of emotional issues going on. But the good news is that you can, with specific techniques that I teach, very specific techniques, you can manage that emotion effectively. Okay? You can manage that emotion effectively. You can never get rid of that emotion. You can't willpower that emotion out of you. A lot of people say, discipline! Fuck that shit. Excuse my language. Okay? It's not about discipline. Your brain is hardwired. Okay? Let me repeat that. Your brain is, your brain is hardwired. It is not, you cannot overcome your brain. Let me repeat that. Your brain, when you tilt and you're emotional, your brain is designed to keep you alive. Okay? Which means that when some fear is happening that is threatening you, you don't have a choice. You are either going to freeze, fight, or flight. One of those three things. Okay? Freeze, fight, or flight. You're going to do one of those three things, I guarantee it. So I'm going to teach you very specific techniques that I learned very, very painfully that is going to help you. Okay? So the takeaway from all of this is some big points. Number one, the markets are chaotic 90% of the time. It is normal to blow accounts. The greatest of the greats do it. It's going to happen to you. I promise you, I don't give a frig who you are going to lose a lot of money trading. Deal with it. It's the nature of the beast. That's the thing I'm saying there. Deal with it. Okay? The next takeaway is have a process in place which quantifies the differences between good and bad conditions. The next step that you have to understand is that where am I wrong and where has chaos ensued? Get the hell out of Dodge. You can't make money in this asset. Go someplace else. Okay? Then you have to have good money management techniques, and then you have to have good brain management. Those are the things I teach. I spend all of my time teaching people how not to lose money. Even with all of that, can I still avoid those situations where the market becomes unfavorable to me for long periods of time? No, I can't. All I can do is not blow up when that happens. Okay? That's all I can do. And sample size, and that's why I'm choosing poker here, the sample size is really super, super, super important. Okay? Alright, so hopefully, Scott, that answers your questions, and more importantly, hopefully it sheds some reality on the rest of the trading world. Because trading is extremely, extremely, extremely volatile. Doesn't look like it in the last 7 years because we've been in a Fed-induced market, but trust me when I tell you, 7 years is nothing. I've been in this business for 37 years, folks, and the markets will change again. Even if you think you're making money right now, you might just be where Scott was many years ago, where you're growing a $2,000 account to $25,000 and you're just about ready to blow it up. The greatest of the greatest of the smartest of the smart in this industry blow up or lose a lot of money. Deal with it. Let me repeat that. Deal with it. Develop something, some process that allows you to control those times when things are not going to work out well for you. Okay? All right. Thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and bye for now.